So this is Delhi. Of course it's very, very noisy and a lot of traffic, which it's the same in a lot of the cities in India nowadays. An awful lot of traffic, very hot, very humid, at the end of July, at the height of the monsoon time. So I had quite a difficult time sometimes with the weather, but oh, that's quieter. Yeah, sitting on the plane, heading towards Moscow, I think, and it was the day before actually, and I was probably looking down through those clouds and thinking, why am I going to India again? But I think you'll see why as we go through the movies later. Oh no, back to the traffic again. Okay, so my journey took me all the way around India and back to Delhi with a bit of a holiday up in Shimla in the north of India, and I saw a lot of places that I'd seen before, but and a lot of other places that I hadn't seen before. So here's the newspaper, India in 30 Days, Part 1. So I hope you enjoy this first episode. So to Amritsar, and what couldn't be better than a nice cup of tea and a biscuit on arrival at a railway station at about 7 o'clock in the morning. It's an absolute lifesaver. So then onwards I went to this very colourful temple, the Lal Devi temple. It's a Hindu temple, and this is the little walkways and stairs in it. It's like a grotto. Really incredible place, and it's highly decorated with lots of glass mosaics, again very colourful, which is typical of Hindus. They've got this love of colour. And then here is Hanuman, their monkey god, who is very, very well dressed there, looking rather like a very ornate child's doll. And here's the founder of the temple, Lal Devi, who died not so long ago, at the age of, in her 70s, after spending a life of just eating fruit and drinking water. So she's a saint. And here is my rickshaw man who took me around Amritsar, and while we were there he told me a little story from Hindu mythology here about Shiva.
Right, okay, tell me.
So it's a god of Shiva, the blue one, and the little woman statue in top she called Ganga river, and before Ganga not was in land, he was in sky, and with no water in land, then the holy man, the people called Sadhu in India, holy man, and they pray to Gangas, please come down, and when his long time they pray too hard, and the Gangas agree, they come down, and people big problem because they have a lot of water like flood. And then Shiva.
What Shiva did next, we shall never know. But then we went on to the crematorium, and this is very typical in India to see people being cremated. But this one is not near the river, which is fairly unusual. So the ashes have to be taken down to the river by the relatives later on. But this is Jallianwala Bagh, which is a little piece of land enclosed by walls where in about 1921, I think something like nearly 2,000 Indians were killed by British soldiers in a protest, which was not a very pleasant thing. But then, of course, Amritsar is the famous place because of the Golden Temple. This is the Sikhs' holy place in the whole world. A beautiful building set in the middle of a lake, and here you can hear in the background, I expect, the resident group of musicians playing Sikh devotional music. This goes on continuously, day in and maybe day out, and thousands of Sikhs come here every day. But the atmosphere of the place is fantastic. It was a lovely sunny day there, and pretty hot, but it was quite bearable actually, and it was just one of those experiences that I shall never forget. So just one last look at the wonderful Golden Temple, and then later on I had a go at riding the rickshaw. The rickshaw man sat in the back, and he was trying to help me, but I just could never quite get the hang of the idea of this thing. It had a real mind of its own. So I left Amritsar and headed towards Lucknow, and so I think Lucknow and Varanasi and Calcutta will probably be the subject of the next little movie, so which I hope to have on YouTube by next week. So goodbye, and hope to see you again. Hello again. Last week, I expect you remember, I went to the wonderful Golden Temple of Amritsar, and this week heading for Calcutta. But first I'd like to just show you the camera that I used. It's not a particularly expensive thing, but a Kyocera fine cam, which has some wonderful capabilities, but not so expensive. Now I'm heading towards Lucknow, and I'm going there really just for one reason, but it's en route to Calcutta, so I'm not going out of my way. So this is India, 30 Days, Part 2. And here we are in Lucknow Station in all its glory, and now I'm going to take you to the place called the Residency, which was an English British residence area, and in 1857 there was an Indian mutiny in which something like half of the 2,000 British people there died in a siege which lasted for many months. And now the battle-scarred remains are a memorial to all the Indians who fought for independence. But here, outside Lucknow Station, as usual, I was asked to take a picture of this fine man and his son. So, the next morning I was in Varanasi, and feeling very ill actually. This looks like a hospital, but in fact it's called a government guest house. Good old colonial building with papaya trees in the gardens around the building. Lovely place to stay actually. And this is three of probably my least favourite kind of people, rickshaw drivers. My one was standing on the right actually, not so bad. But then he took me around Varanasi. One of the places we went to was this temple, and a lot of activity there, of course. It was a very busy day at the temple, and thousands of people queuing to get in, and it's a wonderful looking temple actually. It's not so old, and the colours are fantastic there, you know, as usual, all the different yellows and reds and blues and such like, and you can see a Lay's crisp advert in the background there. But this is a bathing ghat on the Ganges, not very well inhabited actually, so, and I spent most of that day sat like this in the back of a rickshaw in choking fumes from cars, etc., and it was a bit of a failure actually. So anyway, it was not so bad really. So I headed off for Calcutta, and again the scenery was fantastic from the train here, and passing lots of paddy fields. I think this was not long before Calcutta in Bengal, just rows and rows of fields, and plenty of water, of course. A lot of rain had come down. So I arrived in Calcutta, and this is the station at Calcutta. Very, very big, busy place. But outside the station you're confronted with this. Yeah, it's the Hooghly Bridge over the Hooghly River, which has a span of nearly half a kilometre, and it's extremely busy, this bridge. But just below the bridge, around the bridge, there are some of these places where people are bathing in the river, a typical scene in India, of course, but I wouldn't have liked to have gone in that river. It looked rather brown. And just outside the station, the taxi rank, of course, hundreds of taxis out there. But here's the bridge. It's the busiest bridge in the world, according to the Guinness Book of Records, with approximately 100,000 vehicles crossing it every day. So now on the Coromandel Express, heading down the east coast of India from Calcutta down to Chennai, which was of course called Madras, and passing over some quite interesting bridges, and this particular one over a huge estuary on the way down. And then we stopped a few times. It was very, very welcome to get out of the air conditioning of the carriage, so it was, but there weren't so many of these stops. And then something like 6:30 the following evening I arrived in Chennai, and then I had a mad rush around various offices in the station to change my reservation so that I could leave that same evening at 9:30 on the train to Mettupalayam, which was at the start of the famous Ooty or mountain railway, and affectionately known as the toy train. So next week, that's what you'll hear all about, the toy train to Ooty. So it's 7 o'clock in the morning at Mettupalayam, and we're just waiting for the train to head off up the hill. We pass through little stations like Aravankadu, with it's the local name, and then suddenly you come across names like this, Wellington, which of course is a very English name, but Ooty is now called Udagamandalam, which I didn't hear anybody call it by that name. It's still Ooty. But so this is the train, and we're heading off up the hill to about 6,500 feet on the Nilgiri passenger to Ooty. A wonderful journey to make. And in the morning, the sight of the Nilgiri hills rising up got me quite excited. And then watching the little steam engine building up steam, ready for the big push up the hill. It's only quite a small engine actually, and it only gets up there by this central rail, which a wheel underneath the engine engages and pulls it up the steep climbs. Here's a brakeman, but it looks a bit like me, I'm afraid, so I don't think he'd be very, very efficient at the job. But I sat in that carriage right at the front and got superb views, and we're off up the hill, and the train went over rather rickety looking bridges, but they've been there 100 years, so I felt quite safe, but exciting all the same. And as the train rises up into the hills, we start passing through the tea country, and it's a beautiful place. The little steam engine here is still puffing away and working very hard here. and everybody seemed to be enjoying themselves. We stopped quite a few times, but then passing over the plateau, it opened up and absolutely superb views of little villages and tea plantations, trees, and absolutely beautiful, stunning scenery. And then again we're still pushing up the hill, and it's getting quite late now. It's taken 5 hours to get up there, 7 o'clock till about midday, and even more tea plantations. Absolutely wonderful. And after 3 nights in trains, I was very glad of a real bed at the Reflections Guest House. Lovely place to stay, very quiet and comfortable. And around Ooty is a good place to chill out, actually. Wonderful place to chill out. Walking around this botanical garden was quite a pleasure, really. And many Indians there on day trips, I presume, and lots of school parties, and very happy sort of place. And here we've got a floral map of India with some college girls posing for their school photograph or something, I suppose. Then later on I was walking up through the woods at the top of the hill, up these little winding staircases, and plenty of space there. And here's Mr. Botanical, the proud owner of the greenhouse, who showed me off his mountain of petunias. And later on one evening, I think I interviewed a couple of school teachers from England, and they told me about their holiday.
Okay, so what are you going to tell us about?
Oh, well, we're Naomi and Mike, and we are travelling for 3.5 weeks in India. This is our summer holiday. We spent most of our time down south, thrown into Bombay, went down to Fort Cochin, stayed there for a few days, headed up on a sort of mini tour to the park, and we're heading down to Aleppi for the boat race fairly soon.
Well done. Well, that's good.
So after 3 nights in a bed, I was off again. I took the bus down to Calicut, which is on the coast, and I was told that it was a fantastic ride down through some pretty fantastic country. As you can see there, the mountains are rising up above the trees there. But I was a bit worried about the bus because it didn't look so good, but as it was, it seemed quite a safe journey. The driver was pretty good, actually, as Indian drivers go, and there was quite a few cars on the road, a lot of Indian tourists around, and if you heard that, that is literally grinding to a halt. So we're off again, and down through the tea country, and a lot of forests, and even jungles further down. So it was a pretty spectacular bus ride, actually. And so that's it, really. That's the end of that little part. And next week I'll be in Calicut and the backwaters. So this is India by train in 30 days, part 4. You may remember part 1, I went to Amritsar, and then a night train off to Lucknow, and then another night train to Varanasi, and a couple of days in Varanasi, and then to Calcutta overnight, and then the long distance sleeper down to Chennai, 1,600 kilometers to Madras. Then a very quick change and up to Ooty, and for a few days, and then you may remember the bus down to Calicut. So now I'm in Calicut and I'm off to the backwaters, and so this is India in 30 days part 4. So in Calicut, after the bus ride down from Ooty, I ended up here, and it's quite a nice town actually, and very friendly. These luggage porters at the railway station were great fun, and then I met these two guys with their nice new motorbike. Seemed pretty affluent place. And then Mr. Shoe Shop here, he was a nice guy. I spent about half an hour with him and his neighbour, the bicycle shop owner. But it was the beach that was quite interesting. It's just coming. Yes, here's the beach, and very crowded. Nobody swimming, all fully clothed, and it looked like a scene out of, Victoriana or something. But there was also a pretty spirited game of football going on, and I think one or two of these guys would have been quite interesting for a football talent scout. They were pretty fast and very, very efficient on at the football. But then Mr. Sunny Kumar was my favourite. He told me about his family.
Yeah, my name is Sunil Kumar. My daughter's name is Sapti Sunil Kumar. My wife's name is Jitna Sunil Kumar. And my younger daughter's name is Sita Sunil Kumar. Yeah, I'm a jeweler in Calicut.
So the next morning I found myself by the backwaters at a little place called Kottayam. The backwaters is a vast area of saltwater lagoons that through the interior of Kerala, the state of Kerala. And as the ferry or the water bus goes along, you see beautiful scenes like this, and it's just absolutely stunning scenery here. A lot of people use this ferry. It got pretty crowded at times, and I think it's the school kids. The school kids use it to get to school, of course. And there was one little girl in particular who seemed very interested in what I was doing. Very cute little girl. And these boats are for hire. These are holiday boats, which tourists can hire. Yeah, it's supposed to be one of the most expensive holidays down here you can take, and there you go. Look, air conditioning on the back of this boat here, and you can hire them for 1 or 2, 3 days or something like that, and just cruise around slowly through all the backwaters, and it must be a very relaxing trip. But later on that day I found myself getting on the ferry to Fort Cochin, which is just a bit further north, so I went back on myself effectively on the train. But it's an island. There's a group of islands out there, and very, very pleasant area to stay. So I think I'll leave it here, because next week, or the next instalment, will be about Fort Cochin and further on. So here's Fort Cochin, and so I hope you enjoyed this one, and goodbye, see you later. So here I am in Fort Cochin now, and it's had a very long colonial history actually, starting with the Portuguese way back in 1500, and then here's a Jewish graveyard and a Dutch and English graveyard. The Dutch were here and then the English were here, and so this is Fort Cochin, and this is India in 30 days, part 5. So I found myself a nice place in Fort Cochin at Walton's homestay, and this was the gentleman who runs the place. Very nice man actually, and he was complaining that it hadn't rained, and so I said, it's going to rain this afternoon, and he looked at me, and I thought, well, maybe, and there, look, it did. It rained quite a lot, but didn't rain much all the time. So on the beach you can buy a fish and have it cooked for you, and here are some of the tourists here sitting and lunching and whatever, and of course there's an abundance of coconuts there, so if you like coconut milk, that's good. So I hired a bicycle, and this is outside the church, St. Francis Church, where Vasco da Gama was actually buried in 1528. He only stayed there 14 years until his body was taken back to Portugal. But I rode around the island and came across some really nice places like this beach walk and along the Indian Ocean, and it was quite safe riding there, but then I came across the fishing boats, and there in the distance is one of the bridges between the islands, and continuing my ride, a lot of building work going on along there. I was quite surprised, but of course Cochin is known for the fishing nets, the Chinese fishing nets, which have been there since the days of Kublai Khan apparently. They fish with these huge structures which have counterweights hanging from one of the poles, and about 4 men have to operate it. So that's it. Cochin is a wonderful place, very relaxing, and here the monsoon clouds are gathering again. And this is on the train to Madurai in the morning, and this is what I said.
It's about 6:45 in the morning now, and just heading from Cochin to Madurai, just past an enormous wind farm. Not quite sure where it is, but enormous number of windmills there. But the backdrop is superb. Very, very steep cliffs and very vertical mountains.
So later on I arrived in Madurai, the temple city, which of course is named that way because of the sheer number of very large temples there. But earlier on, first of all, I was taken up to a small temple on top of this hill. It was up something like over 600 very big steps actually. As you can see in this picture, they're very steep, and it was very hot as well. But inside the temple, it was very nice seeing these monkeys just interacting with the humans there, and they all seemed at peace there. It was very, very, very pleasant. And of course, here's a monkey with her baby, and it was wonderful. But later in the afternoon, of course, I had to go and see the Meenakshi temple, which from the roof of a shop actually, and what you can see here is just one huge temple complex. It's all the same temple actually, and just coming into view there is a gopuram or tower, which apparently has something like 1,500 small figures on it. It's just a massive structure, and in the centre there's a golden dome, which is apparently the oldest part of this temple. And sweeping round again, you can see the other gopurams. It's just an amazing sight to see all this. But then finally, not long before I left Madurai, I suppose, I came across this marquee. Very elaborate thing. The decoration was just out of this world, and it was just being put up apparently for just one night or one afternoon or something by these gentlemen for the local politician's son to give a speech. There you go. So anyway, next time I'll be in Bangalore, Silicon City. Hello again. So this week I just want to show you my luggage, or lack of it, a laptop computer bag with a laptop and various bits of computer paraphernalia, and also a very limited amount of clothing, such as a spare pair of shorts and a t-shirt and a guidebook and a towel and a pair of socks, but nothing much else. So I left Madurai, the temple city, and the next morning I arrived in Bangalore. So that's this episode. I'm now in Bangalore and Hyderabad. So Bangalore, Silicon City. In the last 10 years or so, this city has grown immensely. It's one of the economical powerhouses of India now, with many of the software companies there. But this is crowd control with a stick-wielding policeman, and the traffic there is pretty horrendous actually. But due to the new developments there are shopping centres and banks, and all manner of multinational companies have settled in Bangalore now. So there's plenty of work there. But of course this is in the city, but around and outside the cities like this there's still a terrible amount of poverty. But so here we are. This is the latest Bollywood blockbuster. These hoardings, or advertisements, are hand painted. They are huge, and this one, it just covers the whole front of the cinema. This is quite an industry in India, actually, painting these sort of things. And of course lots of bookshops, and a lot of English books there, of course. And here's a herb market set up below a new viaduct, a new motorway. And meanwhile back at Bangalore station, I was happy to be back there actually after this day. But here's the rather strange sign here: foot over bridge. Well, you can guess what it means. Next day, Hyderabad, and I took a bus across town and past this very large lake which lies between the two parts of the city, Secunderabad and Hyderabad. And I took the bus out to a place called Golconda, Golconda Fort. It's a medieval fort, and it's got a long history actually. It stands about 400 feet above on a hill, and this is the clapping hall where if you clap, people in the palace at the top of the hill should be able to hear you. But this is what I said as I was walking up the hill. It was a very hot day.
Right, walking up the steps. This does remind me rather of that trip in Madurai. Way up there ahead you can see a French couple. The woman has got a green umbrella. Just what I need today. It's getting quite hot, although it's bearable. There's quite a nice breeze blowing, so the sun has come out again.
So there you go. Yeah, you can tell I think I was pretty hot that point. But the ruins are absolutely amazing, and some of the fortress is built on top of rocks, and underneath there's quite a lot of tunnels and such like. And in this one I heard, well, you could hear them now, can't you, the bats. Huge number of bats there. I don't know how many, maybe 1,000, I don't know. But the smell was pretty awful actually. So I was glad to be outside again. And this is sweeping round and looking at Hyderabad from the top of that hill. Absolutely wonderful view, and everything was very green, of course. Lots of beautiful green grass around. So everybody goes to Hyderabad, or not everybody, but most people want to see this, the Charminar, which was built around 1591, and it's actually called the Charm of Hyderabad, but really Charminar means 4 minarets. So it's quite a spectacular thing to see, actually, and very busy streets. And here's a scooter with 4 people on it, actually, 2 women on the back and a small person in front of him. So that's it for this week, and next week I'll be in Aurangabad, and really this is one of the highlights of the trip, to see the Kailasa temple at Ellora, one of the most fantastic things we've ever seen. So goodbye, see you next week. So I'm in Aurangabad now, and I had a day of rest yesterday after a long journey. So now I'm on a trip, on a tour out to Ellora. And so this is India in 30 days, part 7. But first we went to Daulatabad Fortress, which stands on a hill about 200 meters up, and it was called the Hill of the Gods, and then renamed the City of Fortune. But here our guide is talking about Sufism, the mystic branch of Islam.
Under the title of Chisti, Zainul Chisti. He is related to that Chisti, to all the Chistis in India. So Sufi is a branch of Islam, mystic. Sufis, they are originally from Iraq.
Yes, and so on we went. In history, this place, I think of Sultan Tulak, he marched all the citizens of Delhi down to this place, 1,100 kilometres, and then all the way back 17 years later. Very strange thing to do. But this fortress has many gates and very large structures there. But underneath the fort there's a labyrinth of caves. Well, they were like escape routes which were built for the protection of the inmates there. But around here there's this wildlife, which is these are langar monkeys, and I've never seen such agile monkeys as these. They're long legs, long tails, and they can really run. But anyway, we finally arrived at Ellora. This is set in a huge park, very well set up actually, and the caves date back well over 1,000 years. It's hard to imagine that in those days cutting these sort of things straight out of a hillside. But this, of course, Kailasa temple, is the most amazing thing to see. It's it's in the Guinness Book of Records as the largest monolithic structure in the world, but to see it is quite amazing. It's unbelievable how they managed to cut this thing out of the cliffs from the top down and form all these towers and fantastic decorations and such like. It is absolutely superb. But I loved this. I walked around the cliff top and got all these nice pictures looking straight down at it. I thought it was much better than going inside actually. So we got back on the bus and continued the tour, and we went to this place, a walled city called Kuldabad, which is very important in India as it's the burial place of Aurangzeb, the last great Mughal emperor. But the guide there was talking to us about 1921, marble floors, marble screens, but his English was extremely strange. So listen to this.
1921, this marble screen, marble floor, marble footed Nizam Hyderabad 1921. Aurangzeb Shtwait 1707.
So feeling rather mystified after that, we went to this Shiva temple, which was extremely busy that day, as I think it's a special time there. And but all around the temple there were lots of stalls selling lots of things like this coloured powder, which is used in the rituals in the temples. And there are a lot of these huge banyan trees with the creepers hanging down. But okay, so I haven't suddenly flown 1,000 kilometres north. No, this is the Bibi Ka Maqbara, and it's much smaller than the Taj Mahal, so it's known as the poor man's Taj Mahal. It was built actually by Aurangzeb, and his father, Shah Jahan, was the one who built the Taj Mahal. And of course lovely views through these screens, beautiful skilled work here. Anyway, next off to Mumbai, and a very hot, sweaty, windy and humid Mumbai. So, last week I was in Ellora and I saw the incredible Kailasa temple, and I said goodbye to a very highly illuminated Aurangabad station and headed off for Bombay. So this is it. This is India in 30 Days, Part 8. I arrived in Mumbai very early in the morning actually, and this is the imposing Gothic structure of Victoria Terminus Station, an old colonial building, and there you see it was 10 to 7 at that time, very hot, muggy morning, but it was 15th of August, Independence Day for India, and these are the marching soldiers that were waiting to do a parade, and there's their musicians. Very nice uniforms, very decorative, aren't they? But first I had to get up to Bandra station, which is just in the north of Mumbai, on one of the commuter trains, and then head off back down to the centre of town. And this is a ladies' carriage, quite common on these sort of trains. And here is what I saw at Bandra, the infamous slums of Mumbai, just some of them here. But I had to get a good meal, so I went off to Gaylord's, a very famous Indian outlet for good high quality food. But next morning I was travelling up through Gujarat here, and it was raining a lot. I was actually on about the longest train I think I've ever been on. I was told it was about 23 or 24 carriages, so as you can see it's just a huge snake. But I got a taxi up to Mount Abu, and it was a fantastic ride, beautiful ride up there. This is the taxi driver, and here some water buffalo are absolutely in their element. Fantastic view from the road going up to Mount Abu. Incredible hills here. Beautiful scenery. Yes, and a little bit of rain coming down, but not much. Very little. Yeah, this is fantastic panorama here. Clouds filling the mountains.
luckily it's not raining now, so absolutely fantastic scenery.
It's oh yes, we came by a waterfall which was thronged with I don't know, a couple of hundred Indian tourists enjoying the water, and then we continued on up and up the hill until we finally arrived in Mount Abu, which is, I would put it, like a lower middle class holiday resort. You know, as you can see here, people dressing up in costumes to have their photographs taken, and lots of cheap shops, and oh yes, here's a pool and snooker hall, outdoor I should say.
Downpour. I just hope this doesn't continue too much. Going on a tour tomorrow, so let's see my new abode for the next, well, 22 days I suppose. Staying here for 2 nights. And here is the bed, television set. And now here we go. You can see me walking in very slowly, trying not to trip over anything. And then here is the bathroom. I think that's the shower, yeah. So a bit of luxury for 2 nights, thank God. Then it's back to Delhi on the 18th of August.
So, after that guided tour of my accommodation in the Saraswati Hotel, this is the tour the following day. This is the gateway which goes to a hilltop temple which I didn't go up to. And then it was a succession of temples, actually, this tour. But here, the Universal Peace Hall is a kind of multi-religious organisation, but in the gardens, the terraced gardens, are very nice, as you can see here. You know, very well tended, and of course very green because of all the rain they've had. But no, it's a very pleasant garden. But this is the Dilwara temple. This is what I really wanted to see. It's about 800 years old, and about 2,500 craftsmen did this. It's solid marble. This is the dome inside the temple. But anyway, we left the Dilwara temple and headed up into the hills even further. It was very lush, and there was no rain really, but lots of cloud. And this is the view we got from Sunset Point, where you know, you should be getting wonderful views of the hills, but there was nothing. And it was exactly the same back down in Mount Abu. So I left and then headed up to Delhi, and here the Jamuna River, where I got a hotel, and I went to the Red Fort. So that's all next time. Okay, so goodbye and see you again. So this is the penultimate episode now, and here I am heading up through the Rajasthan countryside, looking very, very green, of course, as usual, being monsoon time. So I'm heading for Delhi, and so this is India in 30 days, part 9. So nearing Delhi, it got more and more populated, and many people around. So, and then I came across this station. This is probably only the second time I've seen this, with people on top of a carriage. So it's not that common really. So getting even nearer to Delhi, and we passed through the slums heading for Old Delhi railway station. And this is the station. So the first thing I did was to find a hotel.
just arrived here at long last at the so-called refugee camp, the Tibetan refugee camp up in North Delhi, and this is the view from the hotel roof. Okay, so that's the river Yamuna, which runs down through Delhi and then swinging round down the river and to the next door hotel. Took me a long time to get here, but the taxi drivers, rickshaw drivers didn't know where this place was. Very, very exasperating at times.
So my first job was to find a hotel, and I went to the Tibetan refugee camp, which is sandwiched between the highway going north and the Yamuna River. And here you can see them playing carom, which is a very popular game in India. And so the next day I had one day in Delhi, and I went to the Red Fort, and this place is of course quite well named. It's built of red sandstone, but it was actually built, took 10 years to build, and the building was started in 1638. But one thing is missing from there, and that's the famous peacock throne, which was taken to Persia, or Iran as it's called nowadays, and the peacock throne, it can now be seen in Tehran, or at least what's left of it. But these beautiful marble halls, fantastic places. But here it's really a former glory of itself, because the stones have all been removed now. But as I moved around there, I was looking for somewhere to eat, and I went into this little restaurant there, and this lovely old guy sitting there, and he parted his beard specially for the photograph. And he was a rather cheery guard just near the gates. And so that's the end of the Red Fort. So there it is, the flag of India flying above it. But then I went down to a park near, well, it's on Raj Ghat, which is the place where a lot of famous people have been cremated. And this is where Nehru was actually cremated. And then this is Indira Gandhi, and her memorial is a very large rock there now. And this is Rajiv Gandhi's place of cremation, and it was his birthday the day before. And this is where Mahatma Gandhi was cremated.
It's a very, very hot day, and I've just arrived now at the place where Mahatma Gandhi was cremated many, many years ago, 1948 I think, January 48. This place is a very important place for most Indians, and the whole park has got the places where Indira Gandhi was cremated, and both her sons, Rajiv and Sanjay, they're both cremated here, and of course the first Prime Minister, Pandit Nehru.
So it's back to Old Delhi railway station to catch a train up to Shimla. But the Railway Protection Force is a veritable army of Indians whose job is really to protect the railways. But India was on a high state of alert at this time because of some recent bombings on the suburban trains in Mumbai some weeks before. So everything was searched. So the next morning I was on the train heading up to Shimla for a well-earned holiday, I think, really. It was beautiful. So that's it for now. See you again next week, I hope. So this is the end of the holiday now, and I'm just going to have a holiday up in Shimla, and then I'm going home. So unfortunately this is the last episode, so I hope you've enjoyed this series, and maybe I'll make another one day. But this is India in 30 Days, Part 10. So the following morning, after leaving Delhi, this is what I saw. It's a fabulous trip going up through these mountains. The railway just winds its way up steadily, and it's something like about a 5-hour trip up to Shimla, but not that far really, but there's lots of tunnels and bridges and absolutely wonderful views of forests and jungles all the way up. So then the train finally arrives in Shimla. And this is the hotel I found, very nice place, and this was the kind of walkway by my room, and if I stood in the door looking out, this is what I saw. Absolutely fantastic view, isn't it? But Shimla is strangely English still, even now, with these very, very English shops, and there's Christchurch, the old church which was built by the British many, many years ago, and there's the town hall, the old town hall, and but a little bit out of town along the hill, there's the Viceroy Palace, which was built in 1888 for the British Viceroy of India, and it was where the British government lived basically during the hot summers in on the plains of Delhi. But the climate there is absolutely superb. But you may remember in a previous episode I showed you a picture of a langar monkey, and these are some langars up at Shimla, and you can see the babies playing there. They're just like little children really. And there's one here, he runs across and straight through the puddle, and he loves it. Just like children, aren't they? But just outside Shimla also there's the golf course. Golf balls are fatal, that's what it says there. But this is a very old golf course, and here's an Indian gentleman playing a game of golf there, and he's just hit the ball. I don't know if he knows where it's gone or not, but then his friend here seems to be a little bit better. He's got a very good swing. I'm not an expert, but it's a good swing, I think. But and now he's teeing up now and getting ready to go. And oops, oh dear. Well, if he was playing the rules properly, that would be 1 point, I suppose. But this golf course was actually originated in 1905. So I spent the time walking around the very pleasant streets of Shimla, and just seeing how people live. There's a man taking his little son to school, I suppose, and this is on top of the hill near the church. And I spent some time eating, of course, and this is a Chinese restaurant. Very good food, actually. But the shops, of course, on the hill there are stuck right on the edge of it, and very English. And I did some shopping, of course, before I came home. Kashmiri shawls and such like here. And then I was talking to this lovely Tibetan lady, very nice lady. So the time came to go home again, and so I'm going to leave you here with a collage of pictures and memories. This is just how I felt as I was going home. So I'm going home now, and goodbye, and hope you enjoyed this.